You guys have a good Thanksgiving? Yeah. Good. Oh, it was great. Best one I've had in years. It was good. Yeah, in regards to that game, really moved the ball well there in the first half, and then felt like we should have had more points than what we did. Some poor play calls there in the red zone that ended up biting us a little bit. I'll take responsibility for that. And then penalties down there, they hurt, of course, and then the fumble before halftime, that certainly didn't help. But proud of the way the guys came out of halftime. They came out and we scored a touchdown. They scored a touchdown to start, and then we followed up with a touchdown of our own. So tried to end the bleeding there. Can do a little bit better just in terms of how we finish that game to where we don't put ourselves in that predicament as an offense. But like we've been saying really now for 12 games, we have found a way to score more points than the opposition, and that's the name of the game. So did a great job there. Obviously wish the Panay pass would have worked out, but that's the cost of doing business sometimes. Yeah, that was
waiting for that.
I told Coach the night before, I was like, man, I think there's a legit shot that he just carries it himself. And of course, that's what happened. So I spoke that one into existence. But you know something's going on. The O-line gives me their favorite runs of the week. Every week. They give it to me. It's all tallied up. Hank's got it all numbered for me. Hey, they like this, and this. And so when you go into that game and they have that particular play starred a few times, you know you should get it off the sheet. So it was good.
Play call, Ben. I'm just curious. You've worked those plays in practice. You like them. Is it just a bad read of what the defense was giving you in those moments? What do you mean when you need to judge yourself in that way?
That can open up a lot of different doors there. It's probably more was expecting a certain coverage and didn't get it. And there's ways to handle that, whether within that play or getting to a different play, and didn't have that mechanism up a couple of times.
But within that, you guys, I mean, if not for maybe the penalty near the goal line and the fumble, that's the two more red zone touchdowns, right? So what did you not like about the calls, I guess? If there's anything?
Yeah, listen, there's a few of them that they weren't necessarily negatives, but or at least I did, and we were talking about it on the headset in real time, man, this isn't what we wanted. You know instantly when you walk up to the line of scrimmage, this isn't what we wanted. And so we talk, you get 60, you get 70 plays in a game. Those are all bullets. You can't waste any bullets. And so as a play caller, play designer, you feel like, hey, I just wasted a play right there. And when it becomes 1st and 4 on the 4, now it's 2nd and 4 on the 4, and then you have a holding penalty, now second and long, then it's just hard to overcome. So as a staff, we can't put our guys in that predicament. That's all.
Is that different than how things went down in the second half in Green Bay? Because everything out of Green Bay this week we felt like we played the Lions really well. The quotes come out of there. Is it a similar vibe that you felt maybe in the second half of that game?
I don't know. I don't know about that. We certainly got a lead on them, and we felt really good with where we were at, 24-3, that we just wanted to make sure we took care of that lead. We didn't do anything that might jeopardize the ball, whether throwing or running with it. And we certainly wish we would have extended some of those drives there in the second half and kept our defense off the field. But the way that game was, like I said, our number one goal isn't to score 50 every week. It's to make sure that we are scoring more than the opposition. So we felt good about where that game was at. Of course, we'd like to still score 50 every week, but that's how that game went.
You guys still threw a lot in that first Packers game, so I'm curious, coming inside, does anything change about your approach now that you're away from the elements at all?
Yeah, every game's its own entity. I don't know that you want to copy and paste the same game plan from 1 week to the next, from one opponent to the next. You'd like to change it up. I think that's what Coach Hafley does a great job for them. He's got a new flavor of the week. He threw something at us there in the first game that we hadn't really seen from him so far this year. And when you watch their tape sequentially, each game has a different flavor and something new that it forces you to adjust as an offensive coach. And that, I think that's what makes this team really hard. They're playing hard. They're physical up front. And so we have to be able to react as a coaching staff to what they're giving us and adjust from there.
Earlier this morning, Dan said Decker's not practicing today. Status is still up in the air. I'm just curious, in the past you've moved Panay to left. This year you've kept Skip at left tackle for both those games. I imagine the situation plays into it. What factors go into deciding how you want to deploy the tackles if Taylor's not available?
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to he's a guy that has played a lot of football, and so if you're telling me there's a chance that he could make it, he might not need to practice that week for us to keep him in there, you know? And so when you're looking at that, if you think there's a chance, then let's not move Panay over and have to go through those gymnastics right there. So it's a little bit of just forecasting who's going to be available that week. And we know Panay can play either side equally well. Skipper can play either side, whatever he's asked to do, inside or outside, he's more than ready to answer that bell as well. So we have some flexibility there.
You know, it's a big ask for a backup offensive lineman to come in and play, you know, the starting role. How do you feel Dan's done in the two opportunities he's had this last month or so?
He's come in and he's fought his tail off, which is exactly what we expected from him. He's a guy that he understands his physical limitations and he adjusts accordingly. So if he needs to take a certain angle because he might not be quite as quick as Decker might be on some things, then he knows how to do that. And then he also knows how to handle these edge rushers to where it makes them, if they are going to win a rep, he's not going to do it quickly. He's not going to allow them to do that quickly. It's going to take them a second to do that. So he does a great job for us. We know he's going to fight. We know he's going to finish for all 60 minutes.
So, excuse me, on the radio this morning, he was talking about, you know, Gibbs and the protection calls that were sort of revealed online. Do you have to change anything? Does that mess anything with your, you know, preparation, I guess, for the week? How do you go about it?
You guys thought about maybe we wanted them out there? So now we know what they know. So, no, listen, each week we like to try to keep guys off balance, teams off balance, opponents off balance, and we certainly don't want them to know when a play is coming. But you look back at the first time we played the Packers this year, 3rd and 5 is our first third down of the game, and we made a check, and you can see Kenny Clark giving that signal right there, which is usually universal for run. Well, we ran it, and we got 9 yards. So even if teams know what's coming, it's still challenging to stop us. And so that's the mentality we take. We don't use those code words at the line of scrimmage a ton, but we'll make any necessary adjustment we need to.
Is there a chance for Jared Goff to still have Khloe Kardashian as model?
We'll see.
Just going back to Halfley, being in his first year as a coordinator in the league, I guess how does that impact, if at all, how you study him and maybe the game theory that goes on of, you know, trying to figure out what's in his head and him trying to figure out what's in yours?
Yeah, well, there's a lot more tape of our offense out than there is of his defense at this point, and so we're still gathering information, even though it's later on in the season right now. And like I said, he's got a change up every week. He's not just throwing fastballs. He's got a change up and he's got a curveball that normally, you know, we do our post game eval, and there were several weeks where, hey, they played exactly like we expected, but after that game, that first game, there was a couple things in there that, hey, we hadn't seen this yet, we hadn't seen that yet, and this is how we reacted to it. So certainly plays into his favor, but I think their core and their identity remains the same, how they want to play and what they believe in. Up front, they're physical, they're penetrating, they like to get after the quarterback, they like to wreak havoc there in the backfield and create negative plays.
Kenny Clark is like the first guy Dan brings up.
Oh,
You
yeah.
can tell the respect that he has for him. What is he? Why is he so difficult for an offensive league?
Yeah, I probably can't put my finger on that exactly, but he has just been super disruptive no matter where he lines up on that defensive line, and that's been for years. That was even before Coach Campbell got here. He's been a force to be reckoned with. Our guys, I know our interior guys, Frank, Graham, the guys that have played him for a long time, they understand what a problem he can be. And then the scheme that they're playing with right now really unlocks what he's capable of. There's an argument to be made that we were fortunate that first game to be playing in poor conditions because it slowed them down a little bit up front. Now that we're on turf, we'll really feel them coming